Hey, welcome to another episode of the recap. Excuse the noise, but of course it's Saturday, so everybody's doing their thing, and you will hear the vacuum in the background for a little bit. But boy, what a week! All right, so this week we have a lot of things going on that I really want to touch base on. But the first thing, of course, is making sure that everybody is safe and making sure that everybody's, of course, washing your hands and doing all that extra stuff that you have to do to protect ourselves. Also, make sure you hit that like button on your way in. It is definitely, you don't go into somebody's house and not speak or say hello. So, it's only right. But anyway, this week, where do we start? Where do I want to start? I will start here. Detroit is starting to rise as far as cases of the COVID 19, especially in the communities where we live. And as we know, Flint has been dealing with the water crisis for quite some time and still is. And on top of that, also dealing with what we know as now is COVID 19. So there have been growing casualties due to this virus. And I think it's something that we definitely need to bring attention to. Here we go. Hey, Mr. The Talks, how you doing? Hey, JLC Productions, how are you? And Gigi, what's going on? Welcome to everybody in there. Everybody in the skybox, welcome as well. You can drop down. It's safe. I'm not gonna attack. How you doing, brother Nate? What's going on? Yeah. So again, like I was saying, we need to definitely pay attention to what is happening in our communities because it's serious. Um, it's almost as if you start to think, well, are you letting it happen because you know it will affect our areas more because we have a lack of resources, and we all have pre-existing conditions, and that's why it's a kind of lax to get testing. It's a lax to um, protect people. So just just curious about that. But anyway, this is an open chat. And as you can see, I don't even have shirt on, just a tank top. So this is very free. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can definitely voice them. I will even put the link in the chat. So if you wanted to pop on to say anything that you've learned and or came across, you are welcome to. Don't necessarily have to show your face, but I mean, as long as you're not a troll. I mean, we're all good here. But anyway, yeah, so definitely with that, is highly important that we make sure that we are protecting ourselves. I will be posting. I was sent, thanks to Brother Nate, I was sent a kind of do it yourself how to make a mask, actually coming from CNN. So I will be posting that on my community wall shortly. So those of you, since we are home and some of us are on lockdown or some sort of quarantine lockdown, um, it's something to do. Excuse me, as an activity for something to do because we need to protect ourselves at all times. Before it was like, oh, you don't have to wear a mask. It's not that, and now they're saying you have to wear a mask. All I'm saying to you is I don't personally believe everything that comes out of this president's mouth. So I will protect myself and, my people with any kind of knowledge that I come across. I think it's only important. Um, I find that we do ourselves a disservice though when we try to go against the grain at certain things. If we know the statistics, we know the numbers. As of right now, the African American community or communities with Black and Brown people are mostly affected by this. And like I said, it almost makes me feel like it's almost kind of done on purpose at this point. Uh, Instead of protecting the people, There seems to be a slow kind of, okay, let's protect everyone, and it's almost like we're only going to protect the few. Like I said, Flint is still dealing with the water crisis on top of this, so that's now two crises that they're dealing with. Um, and it's a number of things that we need to start paying attention to. So, with that, I will move right along. Also, we have, and this is sad, of course, but I'm going to talk about it because it burns my nerves. Our own community trying to capitalize on the fears of our own people by hosting um, events to where in which people can um, get screening and testing when the church themselves or the actual church that was doing the screening was able to get the testing for free and then charge the people and even the parishioners, even if they were going to be charged half price or whatever, was still going to charge the parishioners, I'm sure, as well as outside people to get tested. um, and churches are tax exempt, so they didn't even have to follow the tax guidelines that we do. And they also still get extra money if they say, "Hey, I have a program that I feed, the community. We clothe the community. We do job training and rehab kind of meetings." All of this you're able to get government subsidies for as a church. So you mean to tell me you do all of this and then you turn around and at a time of crisis and pandemic, which we are in, you want to charge people to get tested? I'm not, there's no way that can make sense to me. Um, and I think we do God a disservice when we do that. And I get it. People, a lot of people have grown so connected to the church, especially a lot of older people, because this during the civil rights movement and before, the church was such a staple of information, communication, knowledge to the people and to the masses that everybody holds dear to that. But right now, with this whole teaching of uh, wealth, kind of, if you bless me, God will bless you tenfold, which I mean, I really think that that's a definite whitewashing of our foundation of church. Um, I personally don't think it was always a prosperity type of preaching and teaching until later on when there was so much when people started to see the wealth that the big mega churches that happened to be others were getting, and it was like, oh, how you getting that? And some people started to tap into that whole process. I just find it appalling when you have members and parishioners who take the bus, who single parent families or are families, but they still, struggle to support their whole family day to day. And you're going to ask them at this point, with maybe, if not both people or one of the heads of household losing a job or temporarily losing their job due to this, to pay any money to get tested to see what their family is going through or not. No, you're not late at all. I am really just starting. So, welcome to everybody who came in the room. Uh, Hello, Karen R, Miss Tita, to you, KC. How you doing? Global Explorer, how you doing? You're not late at all. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that, and I am totally, totally, totally. The level of festivity is up there for me, because I've always been. I mean, I've grown up in the church. I've been a church boy, but once you go to school and you kind of learn different things, you kind of see the system of church more than church, and you understand that church is more inside you, and it's a personal relationship that you have with God than it is you having to go to a place in order to receive something. So at a time when it is very dangerous to capitalize on fears and just people not knowing, and especially in our communities where there is already a lack of knowledge of knowledge concerning information, of resources, money, all these things, and to then be like, okay, well, I'm going to, on top of what, as people like to say, the man is putting on you, I'm gonna, double that and get you for some more. Is really sad. Is really sad. And granted, yeah, I get it. Churches have to keep their lights on and all that stuff, just like everybody else. But you would think that with the people tithing every Sunday before a pandemic, you don't set that aside. You don't allocate those funds for that to go there. Um, Instead of always pushing a building fund, which I'm sure a lot of churches could get funding even for buildings, an extra expansion on their church from local and city government officials. If they worked hard enough, they always ask the parishioners. What were you saying? I'm disgusted. It's going on in the churches and community right now. It's just shameful. Yeah, it is. Private jets and pastors asking, that they feel they cannot fly a regular commercial airplane because they don't want the spirits of other people on them. I find that crazy because at the end of the day, when whomever walks into their church, that same spirit that you don't want around you when you're on the plane is the same spirit that is walking into that church. So that part I don't get. I don't know. It's just, and maybe it's just me. So correct me if I'm wrong. I just find it to be, we've turned church into such a scam and such a money making business that it is. It's changed. It's changed, and I'm sorry to say, but I think that due to the whole integrating and some people seeing the old church can, you could really make this kind of money. You could really, if you push this, you could really, do big, and people actually pushing that has been the downfall. There was no such thing. You go back to the 60s, through the 50s, the civil rights movement. There was no such thing as mega churches on the level of where in which you're really making money off the backs of your people. It was more of the money you were raising was helping for boycotts, helping to gas cars for carpooling, helping to make sure the community as a whole, people had, stuff paid when stuff was cut off due to the landlord being of a different race, saying, okay, no, you owe, 2 months rent. Because that happened in a lot of cases. The churches would step in. Sorry, that's somebody outside. The churches would step in and pay the rent for people. And it's such a place to where in which you have a lot of parishioners on public assistance, and you can't even get assistance from your own church that you go to and put your tithes in unless they see that you've had a whole, maybe a year of giving. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, we've moved past information and knowledge and growing the community to strive better into a place where in which everybody thought, oh, you could really make money off this. And I personally think when the others got involved in how we do church, it became more of a money-making business. And they saw how everything came through the church. The information we use came through our churches. The political portion of our communities came through our churches. All of that stuff came through our churches, and they saw how the money was flowing, and we got to get on top of that. And the mega church kind of was created, and then all of a sudden it was, oh, but look, you can cheat this prosperity. If you give, God will bless you 10 times over. But if you give to me, God will bless you 10 times over. Well, that's not true. I mean, the word itself says if you just give, period. And that whole tithing of 10%, your same tithes can go to someone else. Your same tithes can go to a shelter, somebody's homeless, anybody in need. That's just for me. That's just how I look at it. Doesn't necessarily have to be the building, and yeah, you could give to the building if you so choose, but you can give to a person too. It's the same thing, because if we are the rock, the church, that means anything that you give your money to, you will be uplifting and building the church. So I don't buy all that. And yes, the money is the root of all evil, but we've grown in a society in which money is, money brings people's wildest dreams to fruition. And the more you have it, especially when you start getting it, you feel like, okay, I need to keep this up. I need to keep this going. And some people, lose their lives and start to go crazy when money starts to deplete. They feel like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So it's tough. It's tough. But at this time, we really need to start paying more attention to all of that. Your time helping others. Yeah, and giving. I mean, the most you can do, which is far greater than money, is to give your time. Your time can do a lot. Even I applaud people that do the Habitat for Humanity and soup kitchens, which I do from time to time, and just helping others, because that is the greatest impact you can do, and it leaves the greatest mark. Everybody doesn't have to know you do it. The people, when you do the Habitat for Humanity, they don't even know a lot of times who all participated in building the house. But at the end of the day, you've made an impact. There is a home that somebody can go to every day, in which you played a part in building that. And that you paid your tithes or gave your dues to creating this life for a family. And I think that is the greatest thing anyone can do, besides always giving of your money. So yeah, that's just my feelings on that. So okay, cool. You did that for a recent community. That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, Habitat for Humanity is really cool. Even like the United Way, or just doing stuff. I mean, you don't even have to be connected to an organization to give. You have old clothes that you're not wearing, or when you do your spring cleanings or your summer cleanings, or whatever you do during your seasons, where you kind of get rid of stuff that you haven't worn, stuff with price tags on it, give it away. It's nothing to give away something that you, of course, can utilize, that someone else can utilize, that you're not utilizing. I think that's important. And there was something that I wanted to talk about too. What was this? Oh yeah. So, and speaking of greed and all that kind of stuff, since we was on the precipice of talking about churches. Oh, that's awesome, Lynn T. 4 homes. That's great. Yeah, definitely great. You have Amazon. Now, Amazon to me makes tons of money, and they don't even give. I don't even want to say any of it, because I mean, from what we get as reports, it says they don't really give anything back in taxes. But I would give them the benefit of the doubt and say, nowhere, of course, nowhere near, even if they did pay a portion of tax, they don't pay nowhere near as much as they get back in profit. During this pandemic, of course, people have still been, because everybody's home, everybody orders from Amazon on a regular basis because they don't want to really go out. So people are ordering all types of things, and there is no limit to what you can order. People have ordered. Some people have ordered books. Some people have ordered, school books and other supplies. Some people have ordered more sexual stuff, like unessential stuff, like dildos and other sex toys and all kinds of stuff. So anyway, I say all that to say this: an employee in Staten Island who works in the warehouse where they, get your stuff together for your orders, and before they go on the trucks to get shipped out. As the pandemic was rising, noticed that the company was not doing anything to protect them. So he, like some people are, as I was, even as a kid, like, hey, this ain't right. You get a few people together, that believe in your cause, and kind of strike or, start a walkout. He has been fired due to his courageous efforts to come forward and say, hey, this ain't, we can't work like this. His name is Christian Smalls. He was a former Amazon worker in the Newark, New Jersey area, working at the fulfillment center in Staten Island. He was fired once Amazon got wind that he was the starter or creator of this walkout. Bringing attention to the fact that the Amazon workers at the warehouse do not have safety materials. They don't even have proper health insurance. Now, Amazon's CEO, Jeff Bezos, who also owns, don't quote me, but I believe it's the Washington Post. It's either the Washington Post or the New York Times, or both. But yeah, and he's pretty wealthy himself. He was going around asking for donations. Amazon created a whole campaign on GoFundMe to help ask the American people, or people in general, to help fund paying for Amazon workers and their affiliates, like that Whole Foods department where they deliver groceries, all of them, other outside delivery things that they have contracts with, to help pay for those people who may contract the virus and may have to be off. But my whole thing is, Amazon makes a lot of money. In some cases, Amazon has crossed the $1 trillion mark in holiday sales alone. The year-end reporting, usually Amazon makes anywhere from $232.9 billion in revenue, and profits sometimes tripling over $10 billion. So you mean to tell me, and I get it, a lot of, other things are paid in business that we don't know, overhead and all those kind of things. But at the end of the day, when you make so much money that there is nothing you set aside for all of your employees, whether they're subsidiaries of yours or any of that, to make sure that the employees are taken care of, all you care about is the profit part of it, there's a problem. And that's the issue that we're having here right now. Not only are we dealing with companies, not only are we dealing with this crisis as far as what's going on in the pandemic, but companies are looking like, well, what do you mean my workers can't work? I need to make this money. When do we stop caring about when do we stop caring about the people, and all we care about is the bottom line, which is the dollar? And that's the problem. You have a company, huge, making all this money, and you don't have any money to take care of all of the people. I think that's ridiculous. It doesn't even make any sense. I'm glad that this young man is able to tell his story, and CNN is able to give him a voice, along with the, what was this? Yeah, this was the New York Times, so he probably owns the Washington Times, because I'm sure if he owned New York Times, Jeff Bezos wouldn't want him to be in the paper. But yeah, Jeff Bezos is like the richest man on earth, not in the world, on earth. He is the richest man on earth right now. So I just don't get it. Like, you can have all this money. There's nothing you can do with it. You can't take it with you. You can hand it down to whomever, which I mean, of course, and they won't be able to even spend it all. So, w- w- what's the point? I mean, and this should be able to show people at this point right now in life, like, yeah, you can have all the possessions and everything, but what does that mean? At the end of the day, what does that mean? If you lose your life, it's gone. So, uh, yeah, it's good to keep some stuff to make sure you have a comfortable living, but at the end of the day, what can you do with all that? Nothing. So I just find it to be just a bit appalling. But um, the initial money was to support voter registration and to help the union workers go back to the local offices. Really, and local offices. That's what the right exactly. That's what the churches used to be exactly. Um, I'm sorry, guys. I'm just going back and reading those questions because I was just rambling. So I know I missed a lot of questions. But if I missed one of your questions and you want to ask it again or say it again, just pop it down at the bottom because I'm this thing runs kind of slow. Yeah, they. I hope they do. I really do hope that they start to investigate a lot of these big businesses because it's really. I mean, the damage that it does is far greater than the moment of monetary gain. The damage that it does far lasts. I mean, we're at the unemployment rate is rising. We're now at 4.4. Um, and it's only going to get higher. They're even talking about the death toll as far as in America to surpass 200,000 people, and they act like it's just a sacrifice. Like, it's okay. No, I mean, it's okay because it's not your loved one yet, but we shouldn't have to think like that. It should be whomever life is lost, we should be concerned because at any point it could be one of our loved ones. So think we need to start getting into that mindset. And as a people directly, we need to start focusing more on our own resources and what we don't have and really fighting to get those. I think we get so comfortable in the fact that if we vote for someone who says they're for our interests, we will. Sorry about that. If we vote for someone who says, they're for our interests, we will then say, "Hey, okay, I'm with you. Uh, you see what I go through." And a lot of times, to be very clear, these people do not. They don't live our lives. They have not grown up how we've grown up, so they don't truly understand um, what we face day to day. They ride through the communities and see the dilapidation in a lot of them, and then they see the uh, the ones who have taken the communities and still decided to live in them and elevated them to a certain level. And they go, "Oh, look, you've made it. You've progressed." But no, there's more. There's more that needs to be done. There's more that needs to be done. Mm-mm. Yeah, but going on? Um, yeah, and even I mean with the stimulus, that's really just again, this is where this affects us. A lot of us do not have bank accounts, and if we do have bank accounts, when you filed for your when you filed your taxes, if when you did, a lot of people did not put in their bank account information to the IRS to get a direct deposit. A lot of people didn't. Some people just said, "Hey, just send me the paper check," for whatever reason. However, even with that minute amount of money, um, and that's a whole nother story, you won't receive your money right away. So you will probably still be waiting all the way. I mean, what, August sometime for a paper check to come to you when people who have direct deposit already lined up with the IRS for, their returns will be able to get it quicker. So, it's a lot that it's a lot that goes into it that people just think it's so like, oh, quick fix, and it's like it's not such a quick fix when we're lagging behind in a lot of things. Financial education is important. That's why I try to push every so often when I do host the gentleman's panel. On my panel, I try to go a little bit in depth into things where in which I know that growing up, my mom worked at a bank for many, many years. So she was great with numbers and always told us the importance of finances and savings and all that kind of stuff. So we knew it. We didn't always follow it, but we knew it. And a lot of times in our communities, we don't know these things. People sign on the dotted lines all the time just for um, extra money or a little bit of money here, and come to find like a payday loan, and come to find out that you wind up paying 3 to 4, 5 times even the amount. And before, Obama had put in regulations to stop the gouging of places like payday loans and things like that, because they pounced on communities of color, because there was always a need of living paycheck to paycheck, not having the adequate amount of money, and I just need a little bit extra to push it over. So they would feed on that, and you get to a point where, okay, we're gonna stop that. Now this guy comes into office, totally obliterates that whole concept. So now they can go back and charge you all of this money for you getting a $200 or $300 loan just to make sure you know get everything paid, or extra money for a vacation, instead of you paying maybe 300 and change back, even to $400 in uh, with the interest and all that kind of stuff. You get a loan for $300, you're paying 6 to 7. You're doubling the amount that you're paying. So I mean, it's really, really, really sad how how we are then treated. And then you always look for the vote. It is always, oh, we got to get that. We got to get that African American vote. And then a lot of people who run in our interests don't even want to have the discussion about reparations. I just don't. There's no way you can talk to me about voting anything if somewhere in your platform you're not talking about what to do about reparations. I mean, it's just so we're just gonna gloss over the fact that my ancestors and people before me worked this land for free, and it was just a great thing they did because they were patriots of America. That my lineage is not really what it should be because my ancestors was raped, and that's okay. I mean, we seem to glorify or gloss over and make certain things okay and other things not. Yeah. Yeah, right, and it destroyed many people's credit. And now they continue to do it because they have been given the green light all over again to continue to go after people and destroy their credit. Because again, they know credit is important. A lot of us are not taught how important credit is. So then, we get to a place where we're older and you've used that credit card that they sent you as soon as you turned 18 to the point where, what I mean, people have gone as far as, and I know, unfortunately, a friend has done it, putting their child's name in bills and stuff, and you destroying your child's credit. So when they become 18, because when one of my associates did it, her child is now of age to in which she can't even get things on her own because she has bills. She has bills that she quote unquote did not pay in her name. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous, but we have to take part of that too. Like, granted, we may have been handed the short end of the stick, as they say, but what did we do to that short end? Did we advance it to where it worked for us, or learned how to work it to where in which we can then take that and be able to leave something for someone else? Or did we just say, oh well, this is what we got, and all you did was hand down another short end stick to somebody else? I think that's the problem. Like, there's no generational wealth building that we do. Everything is like the moment. Right. Corporations, we're always willing to save corporations. It's always like, oh, but capitalism is great. Capitalism is cool, and yeah, it helps, generate money and business, but does it help everyone? No, because the people that actually push capitalism along are the people at the bottom. The people that benefit from capitalism are the people at the top because they don't do the work, but they get all the profit. So it becomes a huge issue. They also know that he is not making the right decisions. Right, but they know that. But he's making the decisions that go along with how they feel. So they are willing to forego his lack of bad decisions for those of the ones that are of interest. So, I mean, that's where it lies, and that's the problem. And that's why I say, for me, I prefer you be upfront. If you're gonna be racist and pig-headed, be upfront about it. So I know right from jump that you are not for me. You don't see it for me. We good. I don't need you to play in my face, act like you like me, and you don't. What's the point? Um, I prefer it when you straight up top. Thank you, Miss Tita. I appreciate you too. Thank you so much. Um, if you receive a credit card, wow. Yeah, I mean, and they give it to you because, especially us, they give it to us so quickly, and they know we don't know. We don't. A lot of us don't know. Some of us do, but a lot of us don't, because we didn't come from those places to where in which we was told about how to keep and preserve your credit, and then not only that, you throw in, when I watch videos and TV, everybody's doing this and wearing this and got this and got that. All you glorify to us is, oh, look what I have. Look what kind of car I drive. Look at all this. If you have all this, you get all this. Um, that kind of putting the carrot before the horse to make that horse, move. Like, oh, don't you want that? Don't you want this? And it's that kind of mentality that we have garnered, and it's just like we lose ourselves. You lose yourself, you lose your sense of identity. All these things are lost to the point where you think that making it is being like them. Um, and then that's when self-hatred and all those things come into play, colorism, and all those things. So yeah, I just think it's important that we start to really pay attention to these things. Um, and we can't. Yeah, I mean, I try to. I try to inform the people whenever I can, and it's tough because you don't get the same traffic if I was talking about. See, doxing is wrong. Everybody, you shouldn't dox, and everybody don't. Yeah, but we all know it's wrong, regardless of who does it and why you did it. It's still wrong. If it's information that I did not know personally, it's just wrong. Period. If I don't know it, if I can't go and search for it myself and go, oh, okay, or if somebody's handing me secret information about somebody else, obviously it is wrong. If you just can't go, hey, I don't like you because I don't know, maybe you don't like me because my nose is wide. Just if you just can't deal with whatever you see, then why drag all these other things into it? But that is the same stuff that gets people riled up and gets their attention. But at the same time, while we're sitting up here doing this, and oh yeah, look at this person's house, and look where this person's living, and this person don't take care of their kids. You get caught in this world, and the real world outside is totally changing, and there's nothing you could do about it because you're too busy stuck talking about stuff that don't matter when real stuff is happening. But again, we won't start to pay attention to the real stuff that's happening until, for a lot of us, unfortunately, it starts happening in our own units, and then it'll be, oh no, we need to really pay attention. I mean, there are people right now whose parents, they're praying for their parents right now at this moment. I know of one individual, and I'm not going to name her, but her father has the COVID-19, and we're praying that, of course, he's healed and everything is well with him. But it's really happening, people. Like, this is not nothing to play with, nothing to gloss over. It's good to come on YouTube and kind of, I guess, escape what's really going on in the world and have a joke and be light and all that kind of stuff. That's fine. But when you start, again, talking about other things, stuff that people can't control, like the way their skin looks due to a condition that they have no control over, that's a problem. That's a problem. And you're going too deep. You are. You just it's going too far. We and you need to dull it back. We need to dull it back because at the end of the day, for the most part, in this sector, as they like to call it, we're all kings and queens. Period. So just leave it at that. If you can't address that person for maybe something that they can change, okay, you're a little overweight. You can change that, or something as light as that. Because at the end of the day, it's all about respect. Now, I don't have to like you to respect you, but I respect you because you are me. You look like me. You represent me. We represent each other. I just, but again, I don't get, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the people I have. I love and appreciate you all because it really started just out of something that my friends would always, oh, you should do it, you should do it, you should do it. And I was like, yeah, I'll try it. And I never really did it because I was just like, no, nobody's gonna like it. And I've reached out to a few people, asked them their opinion, and it was like, oh, you should try it. And that's all I do it for, is to make sure, hey, this is stuff out here that you need to know. And not for anybody to look at my face, or I'm trying to get people to just totally be enamored by me. This I can't help. I was born with this. And I'm thankful for it. But I had attractive parents. What can I say? And that was God's work. So I'm not That has nothing to do with who I am as a person. It's just an added bonus, I guess. Yeah, right. Yeah, we're not taking the seriousness of this. And granted, it could have been, I'm not saying that it's possibly not man-made and all that good stuff, because it possibly could have been man-made and produced just for the fact of wiping away people. But we don't have to give it the satisfaction to actually to do it to us when we are the most vulnerable. And that's hands down. We could say what we want about how fake it is, but we are vulnerable as a people. We are. We are the bottom resources, knowledge, all that stuff, to where in which we can't even go to our local hospitals in our areas that will be able to handle a pandemic of this size. We can't, and I don't. That's hands down wherever you live, in places of color, in communities of color that have hospitals that you don't have to go to the outskirts of town to receive top-notch care. They don't have what you need at your local hospital or clinic center. Excuse me. Yep. So I don't know. Thank you so much, Petty Duke. I appreciate it. I mean, and then we all are, but we choose to use our intellect and our intelligence for different things. And again, if you enjoy going back and forth, and that's what you enjoy doing, and that's what brings you great joy, all power to you. I mean, but at the end of the day, what is it doing for you? What is that doing for somebody else? Is that motivating somebody else? I doubt it. I doubt it. And then you have people with aspirations of wanting to be on TV and do shows and things. Across the board, we don't always have to be the people doing the mess in order to be seen and heard and put on TV. We don't have to be going back and forth with each other, fighting each other, shouting each other and all the kind of stuff just to be seen and heard. If you notice, they have tons of shows where they don't do that. The others have tons of shows on TV, and very rarely do they have shows where they go back and forth. That's why you see shows like that Netflix series, The Tiger King, and you sitting there appalled, like, "Oh my God, that is disgusting. Them white people are trash," because they make sure that they never really show us and the rest of them what a lot of them live like, for real, because that's not the image that they want to uphold. That's not the image that they want you to see. Um, but we also need to start bringing light to those reality shows and those things, because they do the opposite for us. They bring light to, uh, which, I mean, I like the show, but Housewives of Atlanta. There's a reason why it's the top grossing show in the Bravo franchise, because of what it delivers. Potomac doesn't give those numbers because it's not that type of show. Married to Medicine doesn't give those type of numbers because at all times it's not that type of show. Only when it's always the back and the forth and this and that is when it's, oh, okay, yeah, because they all do that. Yeah, yeah, they all do that. See how they act, see what they do, and that's why I will always show me any show that's like that, or the Duck Dynasty, where you have rich people with the mindset of uh, trailer people, in a sense, where in which you get mad because you can't say the N word, and you wonder why I can't say it. Um, like, it's not offensive. Well, if it's not offensive, why do they use it? And that's again an issue for our own community, to say, hey, we need to stop you can't ask something of somebody when you use it. You just really can't. Um, but at the same token, like I said before, on the gentleman's panel, we don't hear them say call each other, hey, what up, cracker? What up? They don't do that. And not that we have to be like them, but it's like you will never denigrate yourself if you have respect for yourself. And I think in using that word, and yeah, people can, go back and forth and say, no, it's a word of empowerment, of endearment. Listen, personally, it's just how I feel. You cannot say the word knowing the history of the word and find respect in it. Because I'm sure some people could get up from their graves, be them marked or unmarked, and come to you and say, hey, I died for that. Somebody called me that as they was hanging me. Somebody called me that as they was ripping my guts out. Somebody called me that as they was tying this thing around my neck and threw me in some river after they beat me to death. Somebody called me that, through all these times. And I don't find no pride in it. And I didn't find any pride in it then, and I don't find any pride in it when I hear you say it. I think that would change the projection of how we feel about it and what people say. I mean, there's ways you can find other words. Um, I just think we just need to do better. We really just need to do better. And granted, I'm not saying we got to be perfect, because no, everybody's not perfect. I myself am not perfect, but there's always a willing to want to do better, a striving to be something greater than yourself. So I think we just need to all get to that point. Yeah, I mean, because that's what it should be, Armand. It should be learning points of view and hearing somebody out. I do not have a problem listening or hearing someone, or even having someone on the platform that has a different view than I. What I have an issue with, if you just want to come on this platform to talk about someone else who is not there to defend themselves, that's just my issue. We can talk all day and go back and forth, because I will have my view, you will have your view, and we have a right to agree to disagree. But it only gets sensationalized or glorified when it's like, you're talking about mess that's just, what does it have to do with anything? I mean, yes, entertainment, because we stuck in the house, but the same entertainment that you sitting here watching here, you can, some of us cut on our TVs and flip through the channel and find the same mess. So then what exactly are we doing? So I don't know. It's just me. And I'm sorry for rambling, guys, but I just, once I get going, it's like, ugh, I can't. I just can't. And like, for example, I'll use a prime example for myself. Like, a lot of people on here say, oh, he's so soft spoken. He sounds like Michael Jackson. I mean, I one, okay, thank you for the compliment, I guess. At the end of the day, um, hate him or love him or for whatever reason, uh, he was paid. So I mean, okay, and I'm sorry that I've never had, the whole, hey man, I wasn't, it's not, this is the voice I got. I never really liked my voice growing up, but I've grown to appreciate it. Period. Um, and that's all I can do. And a lot of times, maybe if we start to grow and just appreciate who we are as people, um, there wouldn't be such a need to always tear somebody down or make fun of. Appreciate yourself, flaws and all, wherever you are. Appreciate where you are, um, because it took you a while to get there, and you haven't ended yet. When you stop, when you stop growing officially and learning, you'll be dead, and then there's you'll be done. So we always need to make sure that we always striving to grow and be better and do better. Oh, thanks, guys. Thanks. I appreciate it. Um, uh, well, yeah. I mean, but they don't even like to acknowledge the fact, Karen. I mean, Patty Duke, um, that they are. They don't. For example, I know I've said this before, but a cousin of mine, he's a police officer in New York, in Long Island, and he does. The area that he patrols is predominantly white, but they are white people who are poor, and his fellow officers who are white always ask him, "Well, why are you going over there? That's oh, you like it over there?" Uh, but they don't like to be over there with their own people. But they will come to our neighborhoods, and what they think of our neighborhoods, they think of our neighborhoods like Call of Duty. Okay, so every time they suit up, a lot of these young white officers think of our neighborhoods like Call of Duty, and that's how they view it. So when you hearing of um, unarmed black men being shot by white cops, and like, oh, I was nervous, I was this, I was, because the mentality is that they're going into a place where in which it's like a war, it's a war zone, and I have to protect myself. They're people, period. They're people at the end of the day. And if you cannot see the humanity or the human in the person, then you need to find a new job. Or you can police your own areas. And we could just go back to that, to where black cops were in black neighborhoods and white cops were in white neighborhoods. I mean, granted, a lot of people would say segregation was a bad thing. Me personally, not always. I don't think so. My issue would have been just like what it was with education and the materials and books, the same things we lack now. Okay, because that hasn't changed. We may have integrated as far as putting colors together, but in the areas, excuse me, in the communities, we still lack those same resources. And at the end of the day, the whole fight was to make sure we had the same resources that you have, same exact, and we don't. Yeah, well, that's very true, sir. Definitely, nobody can beat me being me. That is very true. Yeah, it is. Yeah, they do. They do. They very much need different testing and all that. And like I said, I personally feel like, um, and don't get me wrong, there's some of us in our own communities who who have a different mindset, um, more mindset geared towards that of other races, where in which they don't want to see you progress. They look at you like less than and all that. But that's self-hatred, and they're not going to acknowledge that because they may not even view it as that, but that's just what it is. If you can look at someone who looks like you and see everything wrong with that person, there's some self-hatred there. There's something there that you don't like about yourself that you are projecting onto somebody else. Because it's plainly obvious that although they may not like um their kind, that kind of uh low trailer trash, kind of that, they may not particularly care for them in that regard, they still have respect for someone who looks like them because they don't go around shooting them if they're unarmed. And that's prime example. Dylan Roof, when he killed those people, did they when they chased him down, because I'm sure they did a nationwide chase looking for him, did they shoot and kill him? No. They had the audacity. He was hungry, so they bought him some Burger King. Why? Because at the end of the day, he looked like them. And granted, he may even have shared some views that a lot of them who even picked him up share. So they felt enough of him to still treat him as a human because he is to them human. Now, when some of them look at us, they don't even consider us to be human. We are subpar. So they're not going to give us that same respect. But we need to start looking at ourselves and giving each other that same respect. That even if I don't like you and I may Joan on you, I'm not going to go but so far, because at the end of the day, you look like me and I look like you. We are a reflection of each other. And it's just that simple. Yeah, segregation has had its pros and cons, and the con was definitely the dismantling of the Black community. Long before redlining and all that stuff happened, with segregation dismantling the community, the togetherness. When you went, because you had no choice but to go to Black businesses, because the other businesses wouldn't, serve you, or if they did serve you, you had to go through these special entrances or certain times or whatever the case may be. There was a rise in Black businesses. Yeah, they didn't have the same materials and things that the other stores may have had, but they still had the businesses. Now, if you would have passed a law wherein which the white businesses would have had the same thing as the Black businesses, and they would have been on equal footing, we wouldn't have needed to worry about integration. You would have had a lot of states, like in Atlanta, like Charlotte, North Carolina, to where in which they're predominantly Black and doing well, like the Black Wall Street. We would have had those. But again, when they see that and they have an issue, it is, hey, it's tear it down. Hey, Karen R., how are you?
Hey, handsome.
Hey. What's going on?
Nothing. But I was going to say, I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood, middle class. And no, I sound a little hood, but I went to an all white school. This, it wasn't nothing but white people. It had like a handful of Black people. And it's crazy because we listen to how each other talk and assume, like you were saying at the very beginning, we assume things. But I never was called out of my name. And I think I said that on my one little video I made, but I never was called out of my name, the N word, none of that. So now going through this, it's crazy when I see us do certain things or certain things happen. I'm like, they really doing this. Right. Because, and I was respected, well, I ain't gonna say respected, but white people would say, she's a pretty Black girl. Oh, look at her. She's so pretty. They would say that but to me, they were just saying I was pretty. Now that I'm older, it's like, okay, we like that Black type right there. They middle class, but I didn't get it. Right, exactly. I didn't get it then. My mom was friends with the white people of the neighborhood, and we was the type of people that literally, my mama baked stuff, took the pies next door, but that's what I grew up in. So now when I'm around and then like I had I met the hood friends like later on in my high school year or whatever. So when people will say, girl, you know about this, you know about that, I'm like, no, I don't. Just like on the Housewives when Portia didn't know, I think it was Portia. Didn't know about Stamps or somebody. And what's name wanted to fight her. And I was like, well, I'm with her because everybody's not raised like that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Prime example, my mom, we lived well, even though we lived in a community that was predominantly Black. There were some white neighbors, but it was predominantly Black. We lived well, but my brother was we had cousins who, was kind of into the street thing. He was very much into that. My mother was like, okay, he's 6 years older than I and my sister. So she let him, don't come here, don't bring it here. You go ahead, but I'm not saving you. But I didn't grow up like that. So I didn't speak that way. I didn't, attend those things. It was just like, oh, he's the proper preppy one or whatever they like to call me. And it was just like,
Yeah.
I'm just me, you know. I'm just me.
Yeah, but when I got around my hood friends, even the way I was raised, when I get around my
Mhm.
hood black friend, that's when I was like, oh, okay, this how you do that. They taught me the stuff. I didn't
Right,
know nothing.
right, right,
They would say, girl, you can just leave this amount off your bill, girl. They'll still pay it. And I'm the type that pay my bills.
right.
And I'm like, they ain't gonna cut me off. Girl, you better do this, that, and the other. Girl, you can buy now. I had the hood friend. Girl, you can buy this on stamps. You can buy this on stamps. I'm like, I'm not gonna take your food. They had the little paper. I'm not gonna take your stamps
Right,
and go buy this. And they be like, I was like, Lord, they know all
right.
the scam. But
Exactly. Like,
I didn't know that stuff. So when I
yeah,
got around them, I'm like, wow, y'all are really right. And that goes back to what you said at the beginning, how a lot of black people do things to get through
hmm
this politician stuff to make it.
yeah,
And I knew people that was actually like this. So you weren't lying.
yeah. No, I mean, I've even as an adult, like I've heard people talk about sugar water or something, and I was bored one day and I actually tried. I was like, oh my god, this is
So
so
good.
great. I had my friend crack it up. She still laughs to this day because I called her like, I I didn't know like you guys think
And,
about sugar water, and she was like, you are so bougie. She's like, yeah, you never had it. I was like, no, I've never had it. I've heard people talk about it, but I'm like, I don't. We go buy Kool-Aid, like like if
yeah,
sugar water was literally Kool-Aid for us. So it's like to know that sugar water is actually, yeah, to know that it was actually a thing. I was
yep.
totally like, oh, I I'm sad to say, but I went through like 6 bottles of water. Okay, that's it.
And
That's all.
my mama used to put the fruit in the Kool-Aid. So
Right? Yeah,
I get talked
yeah,
about.
my mom did too. I'm like, what
So
is that?
yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-mm. And then even the grilled cheese and all that, to us it was fun foods. I didn't know
right,
it was poor foods.
right. Like the
And
frying the bologna or the putting the cheese on the bread and then putting in the broiler part of the thing. Like
yeah,
that was just something to do. That
I'm
wasn't
gonna
like
tell you, I used to beg for stuff like that, and my
right,
mom like, but they knew they raised poor and knew the struggle. And I guess that's why they didn't want us to
right,
have. So
exactly.
me begging for stuff like this, like, girl, if you don't go sit up with mama, please, can I try this? Please, can I try sauce, please?
Right,
And he's like, girl, if you don't sit over, get over there and sit down. But
right.
now, when I got older, I was like, okay, I see why they protected me from this or told me no about this, and
hmm
it makes sense now.
Yeah, right, exactly. It definitely made sense. Like there were just certain foods even growing up that I didn't eat. Like most of the time, because my mom worked nights, my grandmother she lived with us, so she would cook sometimes, and she'd make like pork and beans and stuff like that. I'm not eating that. What is that? I'm not eating that.
Yeah, and that's another thing. We had choices where other
Right.
black
What
people
other
grew up
people
and say,
did.
"You better
Right.
eat this," and
Right.
I sit there
Exactly.
and pout. I don't want this.
I can tell you throughout the week what I had every day growing up. Like Sunday, of course, was Sunday dinner. Monday
Yep.
was like whatever was Sunday leftover. Or maybe if it was all gone, you had something new. Tuesday was a certain day. Like Wednesday was always steak day. It was, and so on and so forth. Friday was kind of like, you can kind of get whatever, but it was mostly maybe pizza or something you could just grab. And Saturday you was on your own. But it was that kind of set thing where some people, didn't grow up like that. It was like every day was, I don't know what we're gonna have,
Stop
and
it. We grew up
yeah,
together because my we was the same way.
right,
Sunday
and,
dinner was laid out.
right, right. Um, but we we were always taught, hey, people, there are other people who
Yep.
may not have, and you don't go, making fun of or looking down on other people,
Hmm.
because we were always taught. My mom came from living in the projects. My grandmother, raised them in the projects. So my mother, taking her knowledge and going further. Um, but she always was like, "Hey, this is where I came from." It was never
Hmm.
a thing of I don't, I don't go back there. She still had friends.
Yep.
We still knew all of the friends that they grew
Yep.
up with. We called them aunts and uncles, and that type of stuff. But we never lost sight of that, and that's
Yep.
what I think sometimes we miss. Like once you get out of there, it's like, oh, later for that. It's like, no, 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 no. You should still have some connection because that's where you come from.
Yep. Listen, my mama had a best friend in the hood, and we would still go to the hood, sit on that porch. Her daughter did my hair.
Right.
And people
Right.
used to be like, y'all got money, your hair stayed done. But she actually did it because we was family. But she was a
Right.
beautician, so my hair stayed
Hmm.
done. Then my mama always took us shopping, but that's just how it's right. And then for us as black people, it's not bragging like when white people do it, it's okay. But when we talk
Right.
about this, we have to
It's
think
bragging.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Because mine was the same way on Sunday. We had Muslims and where my mama raised my cousin as
Hmm.
her own, so they stayed with us. She
Hmm.
had adopted them because their parents died, so they were Muslims.
Okay.
Then she cooked regular food. So my mama literally cooked like vegetable stuff. She separated the meats because they didn't eat meats. We had
Hmm.
chicken, roast. I mean, she literally took her time to do all of that. A spread. We sat
Right.
at the table and had to have dinner together. We had to take baths. We had to wash. We had to do
Right.
stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Right.
And like you said, on Mondays it was leftovers. On
Right.
Tuesdays you eat what you wanted to eat, but we would go to the store and pick our favorite cereal, stuff like that. On
Oh, okay.
Friday it was going to McDonald's. Every Friday we went to McDonald's. You get whatever you want. Mine was
Oh,
always
okay.
2 Big Macs, large fries, a sundae.
Well,
I'm like you. I can remember that.
yeah, like Tuesdays for us were my brother actually worked at a Burger King and they used to have like a Whoppers like two for something, and that was like the only time that we actually had like fast food like that. Because any other
Yep.
time it was like you better get in that kitchen and I got hamburger meat that just tastes just like you. Like mine, it's not
Yep.
the same.
Yep. Yep.
It's gonna be the same, you know. So there was never this push for like fast food or processed food. It was always like, no, I'm gonna go home and make it. But
Yeah.
um, I just think times have
Oh,
changed.
they definitely
We
changed.
have, yeah, but we have changed too in a sense where in which we don't uh, take the time to uh, have those kind of sit down and eat at the table, and then you can get up and go do whatever. Like we could not watch TV. You couldn't do not like if you was eating, you had to eat. You had to sit at the table, literally eat. There was no phone, no nothing, And now as adults, we get into this whole habit of
Hmm.
having your phone, texting, or whatever, and doing all this kind of stuff. It was
Oh, we
nothing.
had to sneak on the phone. You sleep now. You sleep.
Right, and then you hear that phone pick up, and you hear, "If you don't get off my phone,"
Mhm.
you're like,
I'm
"Okay."
laughing at TC. She said her baby gonna eat pot of meat and sardines. I don't blame her. I refuse to eat. Yep.
Mm-mm. Like
Cause
I've
you,
never had spam. Like even though I don't eat pork and beef now, but even growing up, like I've never had spam or
me either.
so I don't know what it necessarily tastes like. I know it's there, and I know people had it. And being that my family was active in the church like all the time, my grandmother still she's 80, 86, like 86,
Oh,
87. She still does the soup kitchen. She
that's
still
good.
does the food pantry. You're not getting her to miss no service. She's flying. Like now, you got to go somewhere. Allow time because she will drive slow as hell. But if you tell her if it's something to do with church, you better put your seatbelt on because that woman she's flying to make sure she make it to church. But I say all that to say that there's a difference in where in which we don't we don't do those things anymore.
And I think our generation is the last one that's going to understand that we can instill as much as we can into the kids nowadays.
Right,
But it's after this, and with Trump in office and what's
right,
going on, if
right,
they don't guess, we're gonna have some that get it, that's aware, but they're gonna need help. Once we're gone, they're gonna need help. And the way they're
right.
trying to wipe us out, we don't know what's
Yeah,
gonna happen.
right.
Yep.
But that's the thing. In the lack of knowledge that we're not even instilling in our own people, you are aiding them wiping away our history. You are aiding them being able to make movies like Harriet Tubman and make Harriet look almost like a Disney character where it was just like, oh, it was like people were being like, it was a lot worse than that. You know what I'm saying? And people were like, oh, I don't like, slave movies. And when they're accurate as possible, I do enjoy them because it brings you to the reality. Like this is what these people faced. It wasn't, oh well, we took care of all of our slaves. We made sure they was nice. They worked for free. How do you take care of property? that's a human being living and breathing. How do you do that?
Right.
So I don't know, but yeah, it's crazy. It tastes like survival. uh,
Yeah,
I,
I've never had spam before,
I've
and
never
my
had
friend would
them.
always say it tastes good. All you gotta do is fry it. All you gotta do this. I buy a can, and it'll
Right,
sit there forever. Then I end up giving it to somebody, like you said, donation or something like the
right,
can,
yeah, right, exactly.
because I'm
The
scared to
closest,
eat it.
right, the closest thing to something like spam that I would eat. My uncle, he would from time to time stay with us for whatever reason, and he'd like Scrapple, right? And of course, again, we never had it. He would fry it, and he like, Uncle Bruce, can we have some? Had it and was like, oh wow, could we have it? So it was like whenever Uncle Bruce came, we knew he was making it. So it was like, oh, it was like the biggest thing ever because that's something we never, wasn't something that my mother went out and got and was like, okay, here guys, it was like, like you always you want better for your kids and you want them to eat better. So that's what you kind of instill. So it was just now canned corned beef. I've never had canned
See,
corned
I
beef.
never had that neither.
I've had regular corned beef, like the actual corned
Mm-mm.
beef.
And if y'all got some suggestion on how to make it, but I never. But nope,
Like,
I have. But you know what? There's another thing. I mean, it ain't about white, black, purple, green, but
right.
white people eat spam and hook it up. Like
That's it.
it's like,
I don't know that. I don't know. Like even to be honest, I didn't start even eating like ramen noodles and oodles until college.
mm-hmm.
Because that was like thing. It was like, oh, I'm hungry. You guys, and I mean, people would hook it up. They'd put like other stuff in it, peppers and all
That's
kinds
what I was
of stuff.
just
And
gonna
I'd be
say.
like,
I eat that and hook it up like it's a whole gourmet
yeah, like
meal.
I'd be like,
I
what?
put shrimp in mine.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
people would put shrimp
vegetables.
and chicken and all types
Yep.
of stuff, and I was just like, wow, I was totally mesmerized. But yeah, it's. But for me, it was a learning experience, and I don't ever discount those because yeah, I
Exactly.
didn't know those things because of the way I was raised, and it's not that it was a bad thing. It was just I was just geared more towards the education portion. I
And that's
did
all it is.
right, and I did speaking engagements. I sung to, so it's like for me when I used to even when I used to help the youth choir here where I live, and these kids would come in all tired for a Saturday practice. I'd be like, "Do you know what I was doing at your age? Like
Mm-hmm.
before 10 o'clock, I was up at 9 o'clock doing piano lessons, and then I had to do rehearsal at 12 for my own choir, then a
Mm-hmm.
rehearsal again at 10, uh, at
Don't
5,
forget Bible study. What was it?
right,
Summer Bible study.
summer Bible study and all that kind of stuff. I was like,
And our parents pushed us into it. I'm
what? Let you say that you wasn't going?
like,
Oh, I don't feel good. I'm not gonna go. Okay, well
had to get up, go to
okay,
church.
well you're not
Yep.
gonna go out for the rest of the week. If you don't feel good for going to church today, then don't worry
Yep.
about going
Can't
to
go
the
outside.
because you don't feel good then either. You like really?
Ooh,
So yeah, it was
Jesus.
definitely a thing that was pushed, and even like with my grandmother, even getting baptized and doing all that,
Mm-hmm.
it was like, by the time you turn 13, you better get baptized. And I'm looking at my mother like, but whose house is this? And she's looking at me like,
Yeah,
you
you better listen to grandma.
she heard your grandmother, right? So then it was like, okay, you got to do these things. My grandmother's very strict on that. She grew up in that South, so it was like you had to
Mm-hmm.
do this, you had to do that. This whole men aren't in the kitchen kind of thing. But
Yep.
in the day, I wind up helping her and watching her to the point where it was like, okay, cool, and I just took it as okay. When I live by myself, I ain't gonna have nobody cooking for me,
Yep.
or I don't know how to cook because I'm watching you do it, or I'm helping you prepare these things. So I don't know. I guess in a sense, we need to kind of change the ideas that we carry about men and women, especially in our community, and kind
Mm-hmm.
of draw something different because yeah.
Yeah. So we all we got, Christian. So we're
Yeah,
gonna have to make it work until
that's
we
it.
gone.
That's it. That's
That's
it.
why we can't go nowhere right now.
Right, right. We definitely got to stay focused.
Yeah. Do you when you be doing your commentary on
Mhm.
your recaps?
Okay.
Do you do them on like things that like when nurses talk about what's going on in the hospital and different stuff like that?
Yeah, whatever I usually get as far as when I come across articles or whatever is sent to me, I usually try and pull back on that. Like just what you were saying, there was an article where the nurse was saying, "Hey, we don't have all that stuff that they're
Yeah.
claiming we have. We don't have it, and people are dying. Like they're really dying." And
Well, I have stuff like that,
mhm.
and I was gonna send it to you
Oh yeah,
because
sure.
you do.
Sure. Yep. And whatever I usually put in the news feed, and
You don't
sometimes
have to. It might be stuff you can use for yourself, knowledge for yourself, and if you can pull stuff out, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But I
yeah,
know
no,
you
I
do
mean
this
usually
type of
whatever I get, if I know it for myself, I usually try to share it. And even if it's something I don't know that I learned, like brother Nate sent me an article about
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Milwaukee or yeah, I think it was Milwaukee or something like that I did not know as far as their race relations, that they're one of the most segregated cities or areas for African American people. I did not, I would just think that the South would be, kind of those things where I would expect that, but to be like, no, it's other places too where it's
Mm-hmm.
segregation is still a big thing. It's news to me. So whatever it is, I enjoy it, and then
It's just
I
that more
pass it on to
outspoken in
people.
the South than it is anywhere else.
Okay,
Yep.
um, yeah, because in New York, it's more, um, it's just known. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's
Quote unquote
you
common
know it.
sense.
Yeah, yeah, right, right. You know it. Um, so when you see it, when you come places like here, and you see people how they are so kind of submit to a little bit, look
Mm-hmm.
how I don't do that. Especially not for us. We can't do that. So yeah, but this is cool. Thank you for popping on. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I had to come on here and see you and talk to you and hear you talk. Had to
Oh,
have a
thank you.
excuse and a reason.
You never
Mm-hmm.
need an excuse and a reason, Karen.
But I'm gonna send you the stuff that I do have.
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
Please send to my email. I look forward to it. I look
Nope.
forward to
I'm
it.
going to your DMs. Ow.
All right.
I'm a mess. Okay. Okay, Christian. Bye.
All right. Later. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm. Hey, Benchnika, how you doing? Hey, hey, welcome, welcome. I've almost been on here for like an hour and 30. Um, but if anybody else wants to come on real quick before I say end it all, I will. You can come on. I will hold on for a couple minutes, um, and thank you so much, Karen, for hopping on. That was great. Uh, but yeah, it's a lot, and like I said before, it's cool to roast and gag. I mean, we all here for it. That's why we, you know, follow the people we follow and things of that nature. But at some point, not even at this point, my prayer is, or my hope is, that even after this subsides, in whatever time God sees fit, that we start to shift a little bit and be more more caring towards each other and not always quick to tear each other down. Again, it's cool to jokey joke, but not to tear each other down to where in which if somebody looks like you, they represent you, they're a reflection of you in some way, that we don't be quick to just destroy and tear each other down, but build each other up. Because we have enough outside um, things tearing us down. Hey, Auntie Donna, how are you? Beautiful. Love Auntie Donna. Auntie Donna, you are my aunt in my head. Every time I see you, I just feel like you're my aunt in my head. That when I come to your house, we're gonna have a drink, and you're gonna Just basically tell me all the family business that I did not know growing up. And I'll be looking at everybody with the side eye. What you say? Cabin fever is getting the best of folks. I think Capra. Yeah, I mean cabin fever is getting the best of folks, but too a lot of that and cabin fever. Some of that is just the people. Some of that is just the people though. Some of that is really just the people. And that there needs to be that we don't need to do that. We don't. I mean, there's here you have an avenue such as which you could really talk about anything and it reach somebody. Um, so why do we need to sit here and tear each other down for what? And granted, they may do the same thing, but they don't one have the numbers in the following that a lot of us have. They have millions of people. So let them tear each other down. Let them destroy each other. Let them go back and forth with each other. We don't have to do that though. We don't have to do that. We could be greater than that. We are greater than that. We come from greater. We definitely come from greater. So I'm just saying that if we come from greater, we don't need to do that. Let them continue to steal and pillar like they've been doing. But we don't have to stoop to that. We can protect ourselves though and protect our people by not giving them ammunition to further try to attack us. Yes, DC is cool. DC is cool. Right, yeah. To take care of yourself. Learn how to do your own nails and your own feet and stuff. Something. I mean, learn how to do your own hair. And that's a whole nother thing. There's so much stuff you can do that you can actually type on YouTube to try to figure it out. That you have the time being in the house to do so. It's like, come on, we don't tear any other down the way that you for views. It's not even that. I mean, you got our own community coming after your dollars that you're trying to save just in case. Um, no, I'm not from DC or whatever. I am from New York, but I don't even have. I never really had a New York accent. Now, if I get upset, I'm like cursing and stuff and going off, then people say they hear it a little bit more, but not just when I'm regularly talking. Because I've always been like kind of thought like how my words come out and the sound and all that and making sure I'm pronouncing it correctly, that I just never really but I mean if I'm angry enough it'll come out. But anyway, guys, I just want to say thank you for stopping by and taking some time out of your day in quarantine or whatever it is you're doing, working and listening, or just sitting around and listening. I'd just like to say thank you for taking the time to spend some time with me as we talk about things that are going on or how I feel about things, and just listening to me rant and rave. Uh, you say the word talk. Really? I don't know what a Queen's accent. Now, I really wouldn't know what a Queen's accent is. I don't know what that is because I think all New Yorkers kind of sound like when I say certain stuff. Like if somebody says something I didn't hear it, usually all New Yorkers say "What happened?" because that's like you saying like "Huh? What did you say?" Uh, we all say that. That's weird, but I don't know what a Queen's accent sounds like. I don't know. But then when I go home, I do hear certain things that I say that may sound a little more Marylandish or Southernish. Uh, that I've been here so long at this point. But anyway, like I said, thank you so much, guys, for spending some time with me. Would like to say to everyone who's a content creator, if you see somebody new that you haven't seen in here, please check them out. Auntie Donna, she does great little commentary. Again, she's like my aunt in the head. She's great. Always love to listen to her. And who else? And some of you people, y'all need to have channels. You guys give great advice and great everything. Like Brother Nate, I'm waiting for you to start your channel because you do great stuff. But again, thank you all for stopping by. And that's all I got, really. So you may see me around, periodically. I might hop on somebody's thing. So I don't know. But anyway, peace out. That's all I got. I love you guys. Peace. Be safe.